Okay, let's see if I can do all this in one take. I have your GIF here in the whatever the hell this is called. I call it the library, or just a place where you put your stuff, and drag that down to there to make a new composition. And now we want to stabilize it, but unfortunately this guy's moving the camera around and he's actually not holding it level. What I mean by that is this would be level. Let me try to explain this. He's not holding it. He's turning the camera. He's twisting the camera, rotating it very slightly is what I'm saying. If you look here, we have an angle of that much, and you'll see this angle will change, which means he's rotating the camera. It's kind of hard to see. I guess you can see it more in here. You can see how he's rotating the camera. So we have a couple types of stabilization, and it's not going to work perfectly because of that. Now, there's this thing called warp stabilizer that I think will take care of that, but I don't know how to use it. So I'm just going to use the stabilized motion. And what we're more worried about is the front rather than the back. So we're going to stabilize something in the front because that's where the eye is drawn to. And we're going to zoom in a little bit and look in here for an area to track. And we want something with contrast, but unfortunately there's not really a lot of contrast, but it's not that bad. So I'm going to work off this little chunk right here, this little kind of lighter chunk, and hope for the best. And we click stabilize motion, and that gives you the little doohickey there, and we pull it down to there, and just make sure that it's, I don't know why I'm not getting my crosshair, but make sure it's kind of centered on that area, and we press analyze forward, and that looks pretty good. It's actually keeping a good track. Now we are on the GIF layer, so we just apply that to the GIF. And now we look at the stabilization, and of course it's going to have to move the video around, so we'll have to crop all this stuff out later on in Photoshop. But you'll see that probably looks pretty good in the front anyway. I'm just putting my mouse there to see if it's stable, and it's pretty stable. You can see it's off a little here. I don't know how to take care of that, but you'll see up here it's not as good, and I don't know how to do that. And if you look in here, you can see a snap, but down here is what we're worried about, and I don't see any really hard snaps, so that's just how we're going to leave it. And we're just going to render this out as is. File, save, export, add to render queue, and we'll use a QuickTime, and we're going to also use an RGB plus alpha since we have that. I'll show you what I mean, why we want to use RGB plus alpha. RGB plus alpha means that it'll be a clear background video. We want to use that. Actually, we don't have to use it, but I'm just going to use it so that this will be clear. If I had let's just say a green background on this and I did not render it with alpha, you would have the green bleeding. But since I do have it as an alpha video, we're not going to get any bleeding into here. So I guess it is best that we do it this way. So we go to our render queue and press render. There we go, it's done. And inside of Photoshop, let me close all this crap down. And we go File, Import Video Frames to Layers, and Stable. I believe this is it. I hope that's it. Oh God. Let me actually render that again because I'm not sure if I saved this file right. We duplicate with file name, and let me make sure that it goes into the Arquetto, however you say your name, Arquetto, I guess. And we're just going to put a 2 in front of that so I know which one it is. And we'll render that out again. Now we go File, Import, video frames to layers, and now I know I have the proper one because I had a bunch of videos that were already made. I just want to make sure that I have the proper one, so I renamed it and re-encoded it into here. So we open that, and it should open pretty fast. Now we have our frames, and I want to take those frames that were fast and make them slow. So we'll start here where he starts to pull up. So we'll start at frame 25 and we'll go to 29. Actually, we might be able to go to 30. 25 to 30, and we'll make those the 0.07 frames. Now, the looping that I did was, I believe it started on frame 21. Actually, let me crop this first just to get that out of the way. We just take our crop thing and zoom in pretty good. And I crop into this, so I'll crop it. I'm using Control. Control gives you a little better accuracy. My mouse sensitivity is high, so we press that, and now it's cropped properly, and we shouldn't have any of that junk. Let me just double check. Sorry, I'm moving kind of fast because this is going to be a long video. Anyway, let me zoom in just a little more, and we'll go to frame 21, and what I'm looking for is when he starts to swing the bottle, and I believe it's frame 21. We should see his arm jump. Yeah, there we go. There's a good jump in the arm. And how I know that, because if you go back, there's no arm jump. So frame 22, I'm sorry, he starts his swing. So what I did was I took, now we can do this more accurately, but I'm just going to do it this way, the same way that I did before, which wasn't quite as accurate. But we take frame 2. I'm not sure if I did frame 1 or frame 2, but I'm just going to do frame 2 to 21, and I press this button to duplicate it. And now they're still selected, and I want to press that button and go to reverse frames, and this will be the duplicate frame. You see 21 and 22 is a duplicate frame, so I want to delete that duplicate frame. And now the GIF will look like this. There's still a little bit of a snap when he swings, and that's why there's better ways to do that, but I'm just showing you a way that I did it. Let me find that snap. There, that's it. That's the snap. But actually, we could probably get rid of that with my special stabilizing technique. Okay, so now I showed you how to do the loop and the slowdown. And I'll show you the Hawaiian technique of doing the stabilization. We're just going to work with frame 1. And in order to duplicate frame 1, you got to be on frame 2. Otherwise, it's going to make a copy of frame 1 all over everything. So we go to frame 2 and we duplicate frame 1. I know this is moving pretty fast. Maybe I should have made separate tutorials. And we move frame 1 to the top. Now we go back to frame 1 and we activate frame 1. So now all the frames will be frame 1. Let me show you exactly why I'm doing it this way. I'm going to take off that. You'll see that there's still some snappiness in here. You see it moving and snapping, and you can see it here in the light, because I don't know how to take that out in the image stabilization in AE. So we'll take that out in Photoshop. So we go to frame 1, activate frame 1. So now everything is frame 1. And what we're going to do is we're just going to mask out this area here. So everything should be stable all over the place except in here. And using this technique, we're going to see a little bit of, I don't know what it's called, unstabilized video in here. But you won't notice it. I mean, you will notice it after I point it out, but in general, you won't notice it. So I click a layer mask, get a black brush, 100, 100, and I'm going to go to a different frame just so I can see. I'm going to mask out, and you can see that I'm masking out part of frame 1. And I want to go about into here and down to here. And theoretically, that should be good. Let me just check my mask. Make sure I don't have any white spots in it. And let's check it out. There we go. I don't know if you can see right in here was a spot that I missed. Watch Connor's hair. See? See this junk in here that's left over? I didn't mask that out properly, so we just go back to the mask and we mask that out and double check it. And I think I saw part of Khabib's head wasn't masked properly. Yeah, right here. We can just go a little wider. And now everything is stabilized. But if you look in here, you probably can see... Actually, you can't. Well, yeah, you can. A little bit. Right here. You can see a little bit that's unstabilized. But you would never notice that unless you looked for it. So now we have completely stabilized video. And we did the loop in the beginning. And we did the slowdown. So I hope all that makes sense. I know it's a very long tutorial. And I know I went very fast. But it is what it is.